communities throughout Florida, as we recently had here in Clearwater Beach, and encouraging these kids to come to a certain area and, in essence, take it over and do bad things and engage in bad conduct. And an example of what happened in Clearwater Beach was the photograph that's to my left that shows a whole bunch of kids, and these kids came to Pinellas County from eastern Hillsborough County and from Polk County primarily, and they saturated the beach. And what happens when these kids come and do these takeover events, it isn't just that they come and they hang out, is that too many of them result in very, very tragic situations, and they engage in unlawful activity. And what happened in this case, these kids came, they took over the beach, and ended up with a 16-year-old shooting a 17-year-old. And as you can see from the photograph over here on my right, just a whole bunch of kids coming with these advertised takeover events. A takeover event, they don't get to take over stuff. It isn't how it goes. They want to come and they want to be users of the beach. They want to be users of a certain area, that's one thing. But they don't get to come in and take it over and then get in fights with each other. And who thinks it's a good idea for a 16-year-old to have a gun where they don't even have the right mindset, the right coping mechanisms to deal with conflict, to get ticked off at somebody else and they pull out a gun and they shoot somebody. So these events are criminal activity. These events are not good for the community. They're not good for businesses. And the residents of our community, the visitors in our community, they don't want to see these things. And they don't want these people engaged in that type of misconduct. And the number one economic driver in the state of Florida is tourism. And we want people in Michigan and Ohio and Canada and Europe and all over the country to know that Florida is a family-friendly place. It's a great tourist environment. And when all of these end up on social media, these videos, is that it's not an image for Florida that we want. And so what we're saying is that here in Pinellas County and in the state of Florida, it's over, okay? We're not doing this. They're not doing it. The parents need to be responsible for their kids. That weekend was the first weekend of summer break, and it's the last weekend that nonsense is going to happen here in this county. We have a number of laws that are available to us, and thanks to the great work of the legislature, the governor, over the last couple of years. And we're going to use these laws, and we're going to maximize them. And I have a few of them that are printed out here that have taken effect, especially in the last year or 2 years. And law enforcement setting up no trespass zones. Law enforcement setting up special enforcement zones for vehicles where these kids are driving their cars, they're blasting their music, they're engaging in traffic violations. And what happens under that enforcement zone section of the Florida traffic laws is that all the traffic fines are doubled, but we can also impound their cars for up to 72 hours. When we set up these no trespass zones, like we did yesterday out in Clearwater Beach, we had word that there was going to be another event out there. There were 60 cops out there on the beach. We set up the no trespass zones. Somebody goes into those zones, it's a third-degree felony. These kids at 14, 15, 16 years old, or the adults who are with them, they're really running a risk of having adverse impact on their life, because you get a felony and it's not a good place to be. So we have a number of statutes that are available to us, and we're going to use these and we're going to maximize them to send a message that this conduct is not going to happen here in Pinellas County. It's not going to happen here in the state of Florida. So I will turn it over to the Attorney General for some remarks, and then we'll hear from others. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. It's great to be here in Pinellas County this morning. This image up here is one of unity, working well with our state legislators like Bernie, who's probably the most pro-law enforcement of anybody serving up in Tallahassee. You've got a great sheriff, great state attorney. We work hand in hand with state law enforcement like the troopers. It's this unity that holds communities together, that keeps them from tearing apart when you have violent incidents like this. It's this unity that protects businesses, keeps families safe, and makes Florida the best place to raise a family. We want people to come down here. We want tourists. We want you to come enjoy our beautiful beaches and restaurants and have a good time. But if you're going to come down here and be violent, if you are going to cause mayhem and destruction, mill around in the middle of the road, obstructing traffic, scaring our business owners, we are going to be the least hospitable state that you've ever seen. Here in Florida, we believe in rule of law. We prosecute to the fullest. Our statewide prosecutors have brought over 50% more charges in the last year than I've been in office. Our conviction rate is up over 30%. We just announced today we've hit 1,700 child predators arrested in the last year. If you're going to engage in this type of behavior, you're going to pay for it. So we will be pursuing strong criminal charges against anybody that's firing weapons, threatening violence, making families and drivers of automobiles, business owners, fear for their lives and safety. There will be zero tolerance. I also want to say that it's become pretty evident that, this isn't just coincidental, a bunch of people that happen to be hanging out on the sidewalk. No, this is a coordinated, it's a larger network operation that appears to be funded likely by some out-of-state operatives. We see use of technology, social media, to generate these invitations, these dates for people to gather. I don't believe it's just happenstance, people hanging out on the beach and decide to engage in this type of chaos. I have trouble getting 4 guys together for pizza on a Thursday night. I don't think, several hundred teenagers decided we're all going to get together at the same place, same time, and cause destruction. No way. So we'll be pursuing every tool we've got to go after the larger operators who are spending money to create these dangerous situations. People out there think they're going to get away with it and hide behind a screen, hide behind social media. No, we're going to be looking at digital footprints. We'll be bringing RICO charges where necessary. We'll use every cyber tool at our disposal to shut these networks down. And, as you know, it's been, I think, about 5 years now since Florida passed our law against rioting. You do not have a First Amendment right to stand in the middle of the street, obstruct traffic, and threaten violence. You do not. If you do that, people have the ability to run you over. If you do that, you'll be arrested. If you do that, we will bring strong prosecutions. We will keep our streets safe. So to everybody at home, we've engaged right away the minute we saw this problem. My office got a lot of complaints from scared business owners, called the sheriff. He was hearing the same thing, and we said, we're going to nip this in the bud. So we've surged law enforcement resources, both at the local level and at the state level. I promise you, you do not want to get in a fight with a trooper. They are the Marines of our state law enforcement. They will take you down. So we are going to continue to surge. We've already been able to prevent a lot of these gatherings from happening, both in the Clearwater area as well as other locations of the state. So as we go through summer, we're going to be promoting public safety more so than ever, and we will be prosecuting where we need to. And we've got a great team standing up here that will ensure law and order. So God bless you. Thanks, Sheriff, for having us, and I'll turn it back over.
Thank you, Sheriff. I want to begin by thanking General Uthmeier for his leadership on issues that impact the safety and well-being of Floridians and visitors to this beautiful state. Also want to recognize a couple of our great partners here, and Sheriff Bob Gualtieri. He's a leader among sheriffs, and thank you, sir, for your leadership here, as always, and also our state attorney, Mr. Bartlett, Bruce Bartlett. Thank you, sir, for your leadership and our great legislature. Other states around this country are envious of Florida and the support that we have from our elected officials. Thank you, sir. What we have been seeing here unfold in the Tampa Bay area and across the state and country, it demands our attention. And these gatherings, takeovers, sideshows, whatever we want to call them, they organize rapidly through social media, as the sheriff said, draw hundreds of young people, and they often escalate into property damage and violence. This reckless disregard for the safety of others has escalated into shootings, as we've noted. Local businesses are disrupted, public spaces become damaged, unsafe for residents and visitors. Law enforcement resources required to respond are significant, and they divert and impede those responses to law-abiding innocent others that need them. These lawless events place enormous strain on local resources that are already strained to assist good, hardworking Americans and citizens of Pinellas County. These pop-up events, or again, whatever you want to call them, they're unlawful. Anyone participating in a street takeovers is committing a crime. Just participating or observing is a crime. Along with the other events, as the sheriff's noted, it's unlawful behavior. It's especially frustrating for us in Florida because we've consciously created areas that people can enjoy with their families. They can partake in worthwhile activities, and the public resources there for people not to have to break the law and enjoy our beautiful state. Make no mistake, though, your Florida state troopers, your Florida deputies and police officers will remain committed to ensuring public safety and hold those choosing to participate in reckless events accountable, and it is a choice. Florida Highway Patrol troopers, part of our quick response team members, have deployed at various areas around the state to combat events such as been described, and we're going to continue that and support our 67 sheriffs in the state. When our local partners need additional resources, your state troopers are ready to serve as an immediate resource multiplier for any jurisdiction so they don't have to face these challenges alone. That's how law enforcement works in Florida. Thanks to leaders like our Attorney General, Governor Ron DeSantis, Sheriff Gualtieri, my boss, Director Kerner, we're going to hold those that choose to not have law and order, that choose to misbehave, to break the law, they're going to be held accountable. When these gatherings turn dangerous, when weapons are present and the public safety is at risk, our FHP and our partners, we're going to enforce the law without hesitation, I can assure you. Upholding the rule of law is the foundation of safe communities. That's why Florida remains steadfast as being the best place in the nation to work and raise a family. I'll share one final point. Parents need to know where their kids are. And by the way, when I say kids, I'm not referring to age. If they're living under your roof, if you are supporting them financially, they're your kids, whatever their age are. The decisions young people make today clearly will have long-term consequences if they're bad decisions. So please keep that in mind if you choose to participate in unlawful activity in this state that will follow you through the rest of your life. As the Attorney General pointed out, we're going to make sure it's prosecuted, so you can count on it. Thank you again, General Uthmeier. Thank you, Sheriff, for having your Florida Highway Patrol as part of this. And again, we stand fast ready to assist you whenever needed, sir.
My message I want to send out to the parents of these kids, as Colonel indicated, this is where the problem is. They send these kids out to go do that. They know what's going on, and if they know that they're armed with a firearm or a dangerous weapon, those kids are not coming back home that night. They're going to go to jail. And I'm telling you right now, from the state attorney's perspective, we are going to charge every single thing we can do on these kids that are shooting each other in public areas where people are milling about and they're shooting at each other because of one little party having a beef with the other party with no thought about loss of life or anything like that or any consequences that they have. So you're going to act like that, you're going to get charged as an adult. And the parents need to understand that. I had an individual from the incident 2 weeks ago in Clearwater who sent me a fairly nasty email because his son was arrested at one of these events in Clearwater. It was actually the one where the guy was shot in the back as he ran away. The son was not the shooter, however, he was found in possession of a firearm, and he is still sitting in detention right now and not going anywhere for a while and won't be going anywhere for a while. So parents need to think about that when they watch the kid or son or daughter walk out of the door to go to the takeover. What's the potential consequences here? And they're going to be there if they break the law. Period. End of story. The end.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm State Representative Bernie Jacques. I have the honor of representing House District 59 in the Florida Legislature. I want to start off by thanking Attorney General Uthmeier for coming down to Pinellas to address this very important issue of these quote-unquote teen takeovers. Behavior that is disruptive, violent, and is a threat to public safety and the quality of life that we enjoy here in the state of Florida. And rightfully so, many have approached us demanding that we take action, and they expect us to do just that. Families who are going out to enjoy a nice evening, to take their kid out for an ice cream cone, should not have to worry whether or not they're going to be encircled by a mob of teens. Business owners should not have to worry whether or not their storefront is going to be taken over by a mob of teens. And tourists should not have to second guess whether or not they will come down to enjoy our sandy beaches for fear of getting harmed by a mob of teens. I'll close by saying this. Florida is currently experiencing a 50-year low in crime because of our law and order policies. But one of those things that can often threaten that great record is the issue of juvenile crimes, because sometimes they're given a lot of chances because they're kids. But because they are kids, if they can keep getting away with something over and over and over again, they're going to keep doing it. We saw this situation in the area of juvenile gun crimes where it was getting really out of control. And because of that, we worked on addressing it. I worked with Sheriff Gualtieri and the DeSantis administration to bring about new laws that adds extra enforcement for this type of behavior. And so just like we did with the area of juvenile gun crimes, we'll make sure to work with anyone to hold these actors accountable, to crack down on this action that is so disruptive and that is so violent here in our community, because public order must be maintained. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for anyone up here?
Sure, those events right there, were those ones that were all busted, were they stopped before they were started, and did they really?
Yeah, so what we're doing is, again, you see a lot of these out there on social media, and what we're doing, and I think most law enforcement have adopted this model, is when we see these things, we're going to these homes when we can identify who the kids are, who the people are, who the organizers are, or more, as the Attorney General was saying, if there's people at different levels that are organizing these things, we're knocking on the door. And what we're telling them is, this isn't happening. And so these are ones that were out there, they were broadcast on social media, they were published, people had committed to going, and they got canceled because our message is, we're gonna do this the easy way or the hard way, and you're not gonna like the hard way. And the easy way is don't come. We don't want you. You're not doing any good. You're not patronizing the businesses. You're not quiet enjoyment of all the amenities and the places they're going. They're going there to wreak havoc and do no good. So we're telling them not coming. So yes, that's right. These ones that we have up here were scheduled and they didn't happen, and that's what we're going to continue to do to try and prevent it from happening to begin with. So if it does happen, we've talked about what we're going to do. But that is our effort right now through this messaging and through our actions, is to knock on these doors, go wherever it takes, and tell these people, don't come.
And are those charges from Clearwater today?
Which one?
The list of those charges, do they all stem from the Clearwater?
No, those are charges that are, well, some of them were charged with some of that stuff, and those are charges, and what I want people to see is what the laws are, thanks to the legislature, thanks to Governor DeSantis, and thanks to all the work that's been done over the last few years to give us so many more tools that we didn't have. As you can see, and I have some of the dates on there, a lot of these laws were enacted just in the last couple of years. And a lot of them are felonies, and some up at the top are very serious felonies, second-degree felonies, which is punishable by up to 15 years in state prison. So, you know, you want to play, you're going to pay. And, you know, don't subject yourself to that. I know the state attorney and the attorney general are absolutely committed to prosecuting these things to the fullest extent. I mean, you just heard the state attorney say that if these kids, there's a reason why we have laws on the books why 14, 15, 16-year-olds, they shouldn't have handguns. They're not allowed to possess handguns. So if they do, guess what? You just heard him say it, they're going to get charged as adults. That's a big deal. So yeah, that's why we have that there, so that people can see is that there's some serious stuff, and we're not playing.
Why do you guys think these trends have popped up?
Why? Because people think it's the in vogue thing. Somebody started one of these things. This is what you see all the time with this stuff, is that somebody starts it, it becomes Me Too, and they just, because they think it's the thing to do. And they all want to get together someplace. And a lot of it, you know, maybe because they don't have anything else to do, but that's not our problem. Is they need to find stuff to do that's productive and not engage in this. So it becomes the in vogue thing. You know, we see this periodically where you have these trends of things, and this has become the trend.
You're talking about the effort that you're all putting into stopping these. There's 5 right there in a 6-day span. I mean, that's a lot of resources being used.
Yep.
And it's
100%, absolutely, you know, and it's not gonna be a long summer for us, it's gonna be a long summer for them, because we're stopping these things and this isn't gonna happen. And so, whatever it takes, whatever resources we gotta put on it, we got great partners with the Highway Patrol, great partners with the city police departments, all the sheriff, everybody's committed to this, and like Colonel House said, this is a 100% partnership, and we got more resources than they do, and this is not gonna be going on throughout the summer.
Quick question, we had the Clearwater Beach takeover where there was a shooting, and have since you folks have prevented a number. Are you aware of any takeovers that have happened since the Clearwater Beach takeover?
Nope. And again, because of what we're doing, I said yesterday, there were 60 cops on Clearwater Beach yesterday. And the message was, don't come and don't do it. And, you know, to the extent what happens is you'll see some of these people, they'll show up and they see the heavy law enforcement presence. And I really believe, and I know that that is the methodology that works, is one, to try and keep it from happening to begin with. But if people do start showing up, they see so many of us that they're like, yep, no, we're out of here. And so that's what we're going to continue to do.
Are you aware of any currently being advertised?
Yeah, there are some out there that are being advertised. Yes, there are. Yeah, yes.
We challenge the premise it's a takeover. They're not taking over.
Right, I don't know
Right,
what to call
right,
it.
right.
And Sheriff, looking at the videos and just seeing pictures before everything, your chaos erupted on Clearwater Beach, for the general public that sees gatherings like this, do you kind of want them to maybe say, hey, if you see a gathering like this and you don't see law enforcement, maybe call and give a tip, say, hey, kind of stop it before the chaos erupts?
100% if they see anything. I don't know, General, you want to answer? You want to speak to that about what the public can do to help you?
Yeah, if you see something out there, it could be, you know, one of these flyers, please flag it. You know, we've found some of these flyers to be authentic and some of them are not. Some of them are AI generated and are likely being used to distract or confuse, but we're treating them all as real until we learn otherwise. So if you see advertisements, please flag them, call the Office of Attorney General, let us know. If you do see large gatherings, we'll quickly get on the horn, and the best thing about working with law enforcement in Florida is everybody's responsive, everybody rows in the same direction, and we work together to get the job done.
Attorney General, you talked about out-of-state actors. Can you talk a little bit more about what you know, who's organizing these, who are the out-of-state actors, and what evidence you have?
Yeah, I don't have details to provide at this time, but our prosecutors and investigators are looking at it. It does appear that a lot of these things are organized through online chat rooms and social media. It's not necessarily coming from the ground up, it's coming from the top down. So we're pursuing these leads and using, you know, all of our cyber tools available. And again, if we can connect these events to actual coordinated, you know, actors that are operating behind the scenes, then now we've got new charges, new penalties, and we can put people away for other reasons.
Do you plan on charging all of the teens as adults, or will it be dependent on whether or not they have a firearm?
Well, it's going to depend on a lot of factors. That's just one of them. But yeah, if you're carrying a firearm, if you're pointing it around, if you're shooting it at somebody, and you're a minor that doesn't have a lawful right to even possess in the first place, then we'll prosecute as serious as we can.
This is one county where we see those rankings in 1 week. How is it statewide? I mean, we're just one county, 1 week, and then all these incidents have been canceled. Is this a growing concern in the state?
Sure. So, I mean, Clearwater was just one area. Obviously, there was a little bit more activity here than elsewhere right out of the gate this summer. But we have seen pamphlets and advertisements for other parts of the state. I'm not going to go highlight what those are because I don't want to draw any, you know, unnecessary attention to it. We have disrupted multiple events in other parts of the state.
Would you say that enforcement is only one side of this issue? Do you think that there might need to be more resources for kids to do this summer, like maybe summer jobs or things like that? Like, should other city leaders be looking at ways to tackle this issue as well?
Yeah, the question is, can we be proactively, you know, finding other things for kids to do? I mean, the answer is always yes. We always need to be doing more to educate and help kids find other ways to use their time, make some money, earn a living, go off and provide for others. But something tells me that that's not really the biggest part of this problem. I think a lot of it is just people that want to cause trouble, that want to disrupt, and again, to the extent you've got some outside actors trying to steer it into certain parts of our state, that doesn't help.
And can you talk about just a little bit more about the parents? Could there be charges? Will there be charges? Are you looking to push more for that so parents start taking action?
Yeah, I mean, I'll let Bernie jump in if there's anything he wants to add. I know we're looking at some things we might be able to do at the, at the legislature to put more of an onus on parents. If somebody is living under your roof, if they're under your supervision, you've got some responsibility here. Certainly, if you're doing anything to drive somebody, to one of these locations to facilitate their efforts to be violent, be disruptive, then yeah, you could absolutely have liability. But no, I think as a state, as leaders that want to have safe summers, that want to have safe spring breaks, we've certainly done a good job the last few years cracking down on the spring break violence. We've got to hold parents accountable. We've got to get them involved. You have responsibility. If somebody is living with you, keep them out of trouble.
Is the purpose of these, does it start out like they're just hanging out to have fun and then they turn violent, or is the purpose to be violent and cause trouble?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit different with every one of these events that takes place, but it appears to be some of both. We believe that there are outside forces trying to drive violence. And if we can, gather an evidentiary record to prove that, then yeah, we will bust people and hold them accountable. But anywhere where you have mass gatherings, a lot of people together, it's going to be more susceptible to disruptions and violence. I mean, some of these pictures, people hanging out in the median, as the sheriff pointed out, I mean, that is a recipe for disaster. People are spilling over in the road. It's not like there's a movie theater in the middle of the median. Like, what are you doing there? That's going to lead to trouble. We cannot have a bunch of young people gathering in a place like that.
Representative Jock, you mentioned that you guys might be looking at pursuing.
I didn't mean to put him on the spot here, by the way.
You mentioned that you guys might be looking at talking about this during session. Can you talk more about that?
So in my earlier remarks, I mentioned how this area was seeing some uptick in juvenile gun crimes, and we acted in a very strong manner working with Sheriff Gualtieri and the DeSantis administration to crack down on that practice. In fact, the individuals who were involved in the Clearwater Beach takeover are going to be at the receiving end of these tough penalties that we passed during a couple sessions ago. And so the legislature will leave no stone unturned when it comes to addressing issues that are coming up, both in a responsive manner, but also in a proactive manner to make sure that we send a message so we make sure it doesn't happen altogether. When this incident happened in Clearwater Beach, I immediately reached out to Sheriff Gualtieri and started brainstorming ideas, and we are in the process of looking towards options where we can add additional teeth to our statute so we can hold these people accountable so public order is not disrupted anymore here in the state of Florida.
Thanks, everybody. Good questions. Thank you.